somebody had to go first and they picked me. So no pressure there. But Governor Branham, fellow Rotarians and honored guests, so glad that you were here today. It's an honor to speak with you. I just want to say a couple of thank yous. I'm honored that I'm very grateful that my first experience with Rotary was such an exceptional one. I got to go to a club where I saw service modeled, I saw generosity, I saw people who were committed, and I just thought that was normal. I thought that's the way it was. And I am profoundly grateful for what's been sown into me in the experience of the last 13 years. It's an honor to be a part of that club and to be a part of this district. So thank you for that experience and for the chance to be a part of it. I would say I'm a satisfied customer and proud to be a Rotarian. So we're here to have a conversation about ending hunger, and I just want to start off by asking two questions. I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership, and I'm going to tell one story, and then I'll be done. So let's start off with the two questions, and I'd like you to write these down, and if you're not writing notes, you take things down, just write them down anyway. But I want you to think about these thoughts for the entire time that we're together. Here's the first two questions. Number one, who are you? First question is, who are you? Here's a second question. What breaks your heart? Who are you? And what breaks your heart? Two most important questions you can ask over the next few hours as we spend this time together is, who are you? And what breaks your heart? So who am I? By profession, I'm a pastor, which some people would think is a real liability these days. But I'll tell you who I really am. I'm one person. I'm just one person. And what breaks my heart is that there are thousands of children in our city who this weekend will wake up hungry. And they'll wake up wondering what they're going to eat today. And specifically, when I discovered that 77% of IPS school children will wake up this weekend and not have the food that they need. They'll wake up hungry. And really not just this weekend, but anytime school is not in session, 77%. That hit me so hard last year, and it broke my heart, and I just said, this cannot be. And I can't not do something about it. My kids have never known that. In fact, there's a lot of things my kids have never known, and so it breaks my heart is knowing that there are little children out there who are never going to experience what my kids have. And that's why I've dedicated my life to make that kind of a difference, that these children and many others, whole families, their whole lives will be transformed. There's an extraordinary transfer that comes from one generation to the next when you realize that just one person, when they pay attention to the thing that breaks their heart, that one principle, I just want to tell you, there is an extraordinary transfer from one generation to the next. And when a person realizes this can't be, and they do something about it, something happens for future generations. It's not just about that one person anymore. And leaders love progress. We like to move things. We want to see things change. We want to make things happen. And leaders always see what needs to change. But there is such a high cost to really making change happen. The size of it is what is so intimidating. And that's why a leader has to be connected to something that breaks their heart, because I'm telling you, change is always resisted. Change is always expensive. Change is always resisted. And the chief strategic tactic of a resistor is often blame. Leaders hate blamers because it shifts the conversation immediately from what needs to be done to, well, whose fault is it? And so there's lots of talk, but nothing happens, and it's very frustrating. The reason why a leader can push through and see change happen is because there's enough of an internal motivation to say, no matter what the resistance, this must be. And so we're going to push forward, we're going to do something about it until it happens. Where you're compelled, really, from the inside out to say, we've got to fix what's broken. And so the chief strategy of those who would resist is blame. And here, let me just tell it to you this way. Blame is an effective change avoidance strategy. Think about that. Blame is an effective change avoidance strategy, and it's just the conversation from what should we do to whose fault is it and all these other topics. But leaders don't blame. Leaders do. They do something about that, and that's what Rotary does. Rotary wants to do. And here's the thing: a leader must take the risk and really think through the option. What if you don't? What happens if we didn't? What if we don't take the risk to change? You have no idea what can really happen through one person, and who really hangs in the balance of that one decision to do something. I mean, as a leader, people are watching, they're listening, and you never know who's sitting within the sphere of your influence, who you might inspire, what one generation will do for the next. And so, many years from now, you want to be thinking about, what did I really live for? The stewardship of my life. Often when we hear or see things that make us uncomfortable, we want to just quickly change the channel. But leaders stay in the tension long enough to let their heart break a little and to say, this can't be, here's what should be, here's what ought to be, and they commit to doing something about it. They pay attention and they pay the price. They pay attention, they let themselves get disturbed, and then they pay the price to do something about it. And what do you want people to line up at the end of your life, or as you get to that place in life, and what do you want them to thank you for? If you have any clarity about that, what you want people to thank you for, if you have any clarity about that at all, then keep that front and center and let that drive you. Get around people who will help you do something, that will help you achieve the goal that you're going after, and don't be afraid to go for it, to do the thing that your heart ends up breaking for. When your heart breaks for something, it will surprise you when it happens. You're not looking for it. It'll surprise you. It'll happen in the most inopportune times, and yet you feel compelled at that moment to do something. And so you do. Don't be afraid to do the thing when it hits you. Don't do it for your own glory. Don't even do it for your own legacy. You do it because it needs to be done. And it is amazing what can happen when somebody begins to do something and you just don't care who gets the credit, but it just needs to be done. Amazing things happen. So I told you I'd tell you a story. Here it is. I came to this town. I didn't know one person here 14 year ago. I had this dream, and after 18 years of hard work, I had managed to accumulate an amazing 17 people. That's how successful I was. And shared this dream of making a difference. And it wasn't too long that a few more people were gathered, and I remember about 2007, we decided to engage our first capital campaign, to build our first church. It's something churches do. And about that time, I was invited to the country of Sierra Leone, West Africa. And I didn't want to go, but I had committed, and I went. And when I got there, I was surprised. I was shocked. I grew up in the third world, but I'd never seen anything like this. And a country that was dead last at that time on the United Nations Development Index. And thousands and thousands of people were dying every year because of a water crisis, no clean water. And I remember thinking at that moment, good grief, I don't have what I need. See, 2008 happened in the middle of our campaign, and as you know, that just kind of brought everything to a crashing halt. If you're in any kind of nonprofit, that had brought giving to pretty much a standstill. And I remember thinking, I need a miracle, but we could be a miracle for someone else right now. And for us, it would just be a delay, a few more years, but for here, it's life and death. So we committed, a handful of people, a small church, to say we need to do something. We had a dream to affect maybe hundreds, maybe 1,000 if we were lucky. But I was a part of a group of people called the Fishers Rotary Club, and I shared this vision of what we wanted to do with a few leaders, and it took off a life of its own that I never could have imagined. Hundreds of people as a vision. No, by the time a few Rotarians had gotten involved, it was hundreds of wells, and let's affect hundreds of thousands of people. And I saw something amazing. I saw the power of Rotary as a multiplier. I saw Rotary get engaged. I saw not only a few people, but then an entire club, and then an entire district, and then businesses and churches, and it spread. And you know, the largest single grant given to a Rotary club ever given from the Rotary International Foundation to fund this project. And as of last year, this last December, we celebrated 100 wells completed in the ground, affecting 96,000 people in 94 communities. No coincidence, I think, that this was the epicenter of the Ebola virus, where the only way you treat that is through massive hydration. Like we were meant to be there ahead of what was going to happen. So it happened because we're better together. And great things can happen when a handful of people decide our hearts break for something bigger than us, and we're going to do something about it. So I believe in what this conference is about, better together. And I know you think it's impossible to change things, and you see, let's end global hunger, and it's just so lofty of a goal, and yet you have no idea what is possible. I've come to believe that anything's possible. And it starts with broken-hearted leaders. So back to the question, who are you? Just one person. And then ask yourself the question as you listen, what breaks your heart? And why not change it? Don't get to the end of your life and look back and wonder what might have happened, what could have happened if. Just do. And have the courage to go for it. Let's change it. Let's pay attention. And let's pay the price. And that's all I came to say this morning. But I'm pleased to, very pleased to introduce a very good friend of mine. I've known him for years. Same thing happened in his heart. His heart broke over an earthquake that happened in Haiti in 2010. And I watched the influence of my friend, Pastor Jeffrey Johnson, the pastor of the Eastern Star Church. His heart broke, and he spread that to his congregation, and then that went across our city, and about 40 churches got engaged and came together. And through the power of businesses, through the power of the organization of our third speaker, Dr. Hal Donaldson, who you hear in just a moment with the Convoy of Hope, every dollar that was given was multiplied 7 times. And today, from an idea, from a broken heart, we realize that today 56,000 children per day are being fed and are being educated every single day in the country of Haiti. What is possible? Anything's possible. Please put your hands together and welcome my friend, Pastor Jeffrey Johnson.